Welcome to the Clackamas Community College Board of Education work session. So I would like to call this work session to order. And tonight we have Interim Dean Ashley Sears presenting the information gathered through the Employee Climate Survey that was conducted in fall of 2024. So come on up, Ashley. And friends.
Yes, and friends. Always.
Talk show.
Yes.
We're gonna share. I get both of these. A lot of Ashley. There we go.
Ashley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ashley Sears, her Director of Institutional Research and Reporting, and for maybe a few more months, Interim Dean of Institutional Effectiveness and Planning Division. Is this good? Do we love it? Okay. And I'm wearing my rad button that I got from Tim. We'll see that on the last slide. So we're here to talk to you about the climate survey results, the employee climate survey.
Where do we aim it?
You're so great. Look how great Katie is.
Where do we aim the? Thank you.
Katie's the best. Crash and burn. This project was, it's been about
Oh, never mind.
2 years we've been working on this project, and we have the results to share with you. We know we came and talked to you a little bit about the survey and the project during your board retreat last summer. I wanted to acknowledge some of our project teammates that are not here tonight. So we have CC Leonard in the LEAP office, Jay Anderson in our AIT, our Applied Tech team, and Aldine Okihara on our HR team. And I'm going to let Melissa introduce herself.
Good evening. I'm Melissa McCormack, the Chief Human Resources Officer for the college, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hello, board. Casey Layton, she, her pronouns. I'm the Chief Culture and Impact Officer, and I'm going to get us started with the presentation, and my friends will help me if I miss anything along the way. So I'm going to need the clicker.
Oh,
or
of
one you.
course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. All right, some of what we're going to talk to you about, we've already shared with you last summer. So you're going to get a recap of the development process of the CCC climate survey. Then we're going to talk to you about some of the things that we learned through the data that we collected. After that, we'll share next steps, and hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. There we go. All right. Although there were many reasons to offer a employee climate survey, the official work began, and the way that we really talked about doing this work was through our strategic plan process, and the college's strategic action item teams that were thinking about this and considering this as one of their action items was the diversity, equity, and inclusion implementation team and the organizational health implementation team. Each of these groups decided, since they wanted to do some type of employee survey, to send a liaison from their implementation team to be a part of the process group, and the institutional research director, Ashley, was the project manager. We took time to develop our charter, and that included basically many of the different things a regular charter would include, such as SMART goals, project description, stakeholders that were involved, methods, communication, and even specific project tasks, milestones, and timelines. We utilized strategic strategies from our DEI strategic framework to help us guide through our planning with that charter. And then it was an iterative process. And so as we got through the process, we decided there's a key decision that needs to be made here. And that is we need to find out what is the ideal state of the college and how close we are to that ideal state. So who we are, who we want to be, a future state versus who we currently are, and then measure the gap in between that. I'm moving through this quickly, which is what we want to do. Okay, so in the process of developing what that ideal state would be as kind of our draft statement of what is the ideal state. We knew that we had already surveyed the college employees many times before, and we didn't want to let go of any of that information. We thought that was very important information to include in this process. And so there was the internal content that we kind of surveyed and took out key points. And then we also went externally and looked at best practice outside of our organization, put the two together and combined any things like such belonging would show up as a key theme that showed up both in things that we had collected before from our own employees and in best practice. And we just combined those together. Through that, we developed a draft visual representation of what we felt the ideal state was for the college. We'll show that visual later, but we knew that we couldn't just go on our brains, even though I think that we are all really smart folks on the team. We decided that we would need to test out our idea and our draft of what the ideal state was with folks around the campus. So we used focus groups to do this. There's many, many steps that actually went into that. There's a recap on the screen for you. These were mix of identity-based groups that we worked with, and we hosted in person and online and virtual sessions, gathering feedback, sharing the draft visual with them about the ideal state, and interviewed them. They gave us an extreme amount of feedback, and we did end up making changes to that. A strategy like that is really also something that folks don't always consider, but that was an equity strategy to offer in different modalities and providing identity-based groups where folks feel like they could feel safe and speak up about things. We even talked even down to like employee group, such as like classified employees versus faculty, or I think all the campuses. We sliced and diced the group boundaries many different ways so that folks could find the identity-based group that matched what they needed the most. And I thought those were really great sessions. We also found out information, this is not in our notes. We also found out information in those sessions of things that we could work on prior to, like things we could actually take immediate action on to help support our employees here with certain resources that they would need. All right, this is a final version of what we decided would be the ideal state of the college. I'm going to turn to Ashley and ask her to describe a little bit more about what you're seeing on the screen here. But there are many elements. I think it's 43. Am I getting that? 43 total elements, around 6 large categories. And it definitely changed from where we began the process to where we ended. What else would you add?
Yeah. So just kind of briefly what these are. So we asked questions around job satisfaction, kind of have some overall job satisfaction, which we'll see in a minute and some of the results. We talked about alignment with college ideals, things related to the strategic plan, things around integrity. Are we a student-ready organization? Those types of things. Sorry, I'm being too quiet and too far. We asked about resources that folks needed in order to do their job well. We'll also be hearing a little bit about that today. Learning and development, people talking about collaboration, the professional development opportunities, about being able to kind of just get informal feedback from others and give informal feedback. Belonging ended up being one of our huge categories. Didn't start out like that, like Casey said, through these iterations with employee input, really making a lot of changes to this document. So trust is in here, inclusion, and kind of some opposite things feelings, feeling silenced or feeling like people aren't being civil, which we'll talk about too in this presentation. That's a lot of foreshadowing. And then administrators, asking about administration at a variety of levels and how people are experiencing administrators. So once we had these, we developed a draft of questions. So we said, if we want to know if people are satisfied overall with their job, how do we word that question? What do those response options look like? We made a draft of all of the questions and then sent that out to everybody who was part of one of the focus groups or who led one of the focus groups so that they'd had some experience, they had a little bit of exposure, they could see how their input had impacted this final, not final draft, but as we go through these different iterations, and then see what the questions look like. And we got quite a bit of feedback on the questions, edited those, and then we made our final version of the survey.
Next came how we were going to administer the survey. After an extensive communication plan, as what I would call it, to try to prepare people and help people know when they'd be taking the survey, we decided that the best place to launch the survey was at fall in-service this past, I think it was September, September 2024. Everyone received their own personal link. Every employee received their own personal link to take the survey. One of the strategies that we used was allowing them the opportunity that if they started the survey, that they could stop and come back and take this, finish the survey as many times as needed, because we knew we projected that it would take at least an hour. We wanted to give people plenty of time to offer comments as well as answer the questions. In addition, we made sure that we opened up computer labs in case folks didn't feel comfortable if they wanted to take it, not sitting at their desk. They wanted a more private space where no one would be watching them take the survey. We considered many different things. We made sure that we paid associate faculty and part-time employees for that hour if they took the survey. And we left the survey open for 3 weeks. So a long period of time and we held open those open computer labs. We opened up on all 3 campuses. We also offered snacks and treats. Anything you would add to that?
No, that was
Okay.
great.
And so some other really important information about this particular survey and the way that we set it up was it was to reiterate that we just want to reiterate that this was a non-punitive survey, and we wanted to constructively aim towards gathering this data to help us enhance the workplace environment. The survey was confidential, but not anonymous. I can go into that, but I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully you all know the difference. And all the raw data will be deleted no later than 1 year after the survey closes. Ashley's got it. Ashley is the only person, right?
Yeah.
I think that saw all the raw data in itself, and then she will be, I'm getting rid of that. This data is to be used to help gather information about experiences and staff and faculty at the college. So again, a little bit more about what we will use the data for and what it is not to be used for. Again, help to gather information about staff and faculty at the college, see where we can improve, and then really showcase the needs of staff and faculty, our employees. What are they saying that they need? What this data is not to be used for is discipline for any individual or department, to talk poorly about or bully individuals or a department. And I think there was one more thing. I don't have my glasses. I can't see far away. And I think that
I think you
covered
got
it
it.
all.
You
Yeah,
got it.
I think
You
I
got
got
it.
it. And so now we're going to move into key takeaways.
All right. So we did the survey. It took a while to analyze it. It was a lot of data. And so these are kind of some of the major themes. There's a lot of things, a lot of findings in the survey, but these are kind of the main ones that we talked about in the executive summary. I'll talk a little bit first, though, about the response rate and what that means so that you can put it into context when you're looking at the results. So we sent the survey to 900 employees, exactly 900, which was, you never see a round number like that in research. That was pretty interesting. So about 900 employees, we had 406 responses, which is a 45% response rate. If you see from this table that we had a higher response rate from full-time employees. So full-time employees, our response rate was 77%. And you see a lower response rate for associate and part-time faculty. That's really comes from folks who weren't employed in the fall when this survey was, they weren't teaching a class. So they stay active in our system for a while, so they still receive the survey. They might be coming the next term, or they might have been there the term before. But there was a 7% response rate for those employees, and there were a lot of them that made up the majority of the associate faculty. So that's why that response rate looks a little low. And then the last thing to kind of keep in mind, we use the total number of employees, which we call the population, and then the number of responses, which is our sample. So it's not everybody, right? We didn't get a chance to get responses from everyone. So we have to make some guesses about, is this really representative, or how close are we to being able to say, this is what everybody thinks. This is, if we were to have been able to get everybody to respond, this is what we would have found. So there's a calculation that we do, but at the end of the day, we get to a 4% margin of error. So when you see results in the survey, you can say we're 95% confident, which is like the standard for survey research. We're 95% confident that if everybody was to have responded, we'd be within 4% of whatever percentage is there. So when you're going through the survey, you're not going to see differences of less than 4% reported, and that's why. Okay, our main takeaways. Job satisfaction was extremely high. We had, what was it, 75%, 73% satisfaction rate. I don't know why I didn't put the percentage here. That would have been helpful. The question was asking employees to respond to, I am satisfied with my job, from completely disagree to completely agree. And 58% of employees completely agreed that they're satisfied with their job. 37% said somewhat agree. So we consider that agreement. That was very, very high. There were a lot of comments. Job satisfaction and appreciation for us conducting the survey were the most common responses in the written comments. Thank you for listening. I feel supported. I really like my job. I like the people I work with. I like the work that I'm able to do. So that was the most common thing that came out, and which is great to see when you see that the written responses are matching what's happening in the quantitative, or these kind of 4-item Likert scale. Despite the high job satisfaction, one of the other findings was that folks are really concerned about mean and disrespectful behavior on campus. So the question is that employees responded to was, I observe employees being mean or disrespectful towards others. And the definition was, this behavior could include using disrespectful language, interrupting, public humiliation or criticism, deliberate exclusion, or unresponsiveness. So we're not asking people about each individual one of those things, but we're just giving those as examples of what we mean by being mean or being disrespectful towards others. Unfortunately, 30% of employees said they see this often or sometimes. And we did learn from the survey and analyzing it, there are some areas of the college that are being impacted by this type of behavior more. I'm going to read this quote. This quote is representative of some of the comments about the mean and disrespectful behavior. I've seen multiple people in various roles be very disrespectful via email and in person to others at the college, and nothing is ever done at the college. The ongoing joke at the college is that no one ever gets fired and we just walk people to the door and hope they'll eventually leave on their own. People are not held accountable to what they say and do, and it does a lot of damage to others. Very powerful. The last one of the main takeaways was that folks responded to this question about the support I receive from, and they were given a list of departments to respond one by one, meets my needs. And they could say the department never meets their needs sometimes, most of the time, or always. So the boxes to the left, the kind of red and the orange color, that's the never and sometimes. And that's not what we were looking for. That's not what we want to have at the college. We want people to be able to say most of the time or always. I was actually surprised to see as much always. That's great. To have kind of this 100% satisfaction for a lot of the departments. There was one department, human resources, technically division, but human resources division, there was a 49% negative score. So 12% of employees said they never get support that meets their needs, and 37% said sometimes. So we can get, this is not a kind of overarching assessment of human resources, this, or any of these departments or divisions. It's a snapshot of kind of overall perspective of employees. So from this alone, we don't know exactly what to do. I know Melissa will have a chance to talk about that too, but the qualitative findings, this is the written comments. We had a box after these questions to say, tell us more about your ratings. What are your experiences like? And we had an external consultant, Education Northwest, analyzed all the qualitative responses. So some of the main things that came out were that folks were talking about delays in service and requests for more frequent touch points and updates regarding the status of whatever their inquiry, question, service ticket. They wanted a more personal touch with HR with more availability to drop in and talk through their issues and needs. They want improved customer service, not just from HR, but also from the business office. There was feedback related to confusing service ticket options and not sure which one to select. That wasn't just HR, that was also ITS. And they want some level of self-service through additional or updated documentation. So those were some of the things that we found.
A quick question. So those are all internal
Yes.
Yeah.
responses, right?
Yes.
Okay. A little surprised with the business office, kind of low too, right? And so are they serving employees
Yes.
rather than students or
Yeah. So these are
community members? Yeah.
Yeah, so these are processes for employees. So these are things like in processing invoices and receipts and requests for payment, contracting, all kinds of processes that they work with employees on. So all internal. Mhm.
All right, so it's my turn to talk a little bit about next steps.
Mhm.
All right, so taking action. So as we brought forward the climate survey, there was a project team who Ashley already mentioned to you. Right now, what's happening is the project team for the climate survey is meeting with the senior leads from our People and Culture Shared Governance Council, because those big operational areas, whole college areas, such as the meanness and disrespect, will fall in part to the People and Culture Council, whose job it is to impact people and culture at the college. There are also additional areas where we'll take action. For example, in human resources, I've been working closely with Vice President Jeff Shaper. We've developed an action plan to take action and address the service delays and delivery issues that are in HR, which I can talk to you about for probably 3 hours. If you have particular questions, happy to answer those. And then there'll be more divisional. So one of the findings, for example, was that department chairs were feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. And so that'll be more of a whole INSS division. So I just wanted to make sure that folks understood that there's not just one action or one group who will be taking action. We're in the process of identifying those aspects of the survey that need action. Of course, we want to maintain our 95% job satisfaction while we do this, but it is clear, and this is why we did the survey. We wanted to find out about folks' experience at the college, and we wanted to find out what we needed to change to get to closer to 100% of this ideal climate that our own employees identify through those focus groups. And then in terms of repeating and evaluating, the current plan is to do the full survey again in 2027. The idea was that we would give 3 years, being as this is our first climate survey, the first iteration of the survey, to give plenty of time to take action, to give plenty of time to try to course correct the things that we needed to course correct, and to also maintain things like the job satisfaction or people's deep connection to their supervisors and appreciation for their supervisors at the college. In the interim, there has been discussion about utilizing pulse surveys, and I should also mention that institutional research, which this is one of the teams that Ashley is heading up, will continue to maintain ownership of the development, distribution, and analysis of the survey. Makes sense. That is their professional expertise. And we're right now exploring, thinking 3 years out, what pulse surveys or what intermediary surveys we need to do to check that we're making progress, especially on those key service delivery initiatives and the key finding around experiencing disrespectful behavior and meanness at the college. That could be once a year, that could be a little bit more. It's still in discussion about what the best practice would be, but rest assured, when we get those results, we'll be sharing them with the board as well. And as one of the things that I wanted to mention too is that, as I said before, monitoring changes in responses and implementing interventions. If you've had a chance to look at the binder that is the survey and had particular questions about anything in the survey, we wanted to give some time and some space and energy for you to ask those questions now.
I don't have a question, but well, I guess I do have a question. You said you're going to do another survey in 3 years.
Mhm.
Most of the folk who are going to do the survey will probably be gone in 3 years. Is that the length of time?
Why not?
No,
But-
we actually have, especially both in our part, well, in all of our employees, we actually have very low transition. We have had a wave, especially in full-time faculty, of retirements in the last 2 or 3 years, but we would expect of those employees, we'd still have a substantial number of employees that would be here. There is tremendous attachment and job satisfaction at the college, so that helps us in retaining our employees. And then, of course, we'll have new employees. And Ashley could speak more to this, but some of the reportage in the survey itself was tied to length of service at the college. And did you want to address? that
Yeah,
briefly?
there were some issues related to job satisfaction, related to trust in particular, that had some lower ratings for some employees that have been here longer. So that is something that we have found. So the goal is to get to a 2-year cycle, doing a pulse survey 1 year, so a little kind of mini survey 1 year, and then the larger survey the next year, and to be able to alternate. But as this is our first one and we're trying to figure out where does this go and who's doing what, and we have our new shared governance structure, it's kind of making it take a little longer than it typically would. So once we have that figured out, I expect we'll get on to a 2-year cycle of a major survey. The additional thing that's happening that I'll do this summer before I delete the results, the individual responses, is to do an analysis that'll help us pare down the questions, so that we don't have to take as much time and don't have to ask as much from employees, but still get to the same topics.
Now, the one that when I look at satisfaction is the one that's concerned about disrespectful performance. Now, that is one that I would think that we would not be waiting for 2 to 3 years to get up on.
No, I think what right now is happening is that work will fall to the People and Culture Council, and the initial discussions we've had are all about developing resources and tools. But those, we've had a month and a half of those conversations, and we are happy if you would like to have us come back and report in the fall or later on next year about what those actions actually are. I'm pretty confident. I'm also grateful that Ashley and Casey are both involved in, as is Katie Riggs, in the People and Culture Council as senior leaders. And so I'm confident in the group that's been established to lead people and culture, and the commitment to changing that experience for the employees of the college.
Terrific. Thank you.
Was that, did we just see all the questions?
You saw the most significant themes,
I saw what?
the most significant themes and findings.
Okay.
Did they
We
get the
haven't
full
seen
report?
that. We've
Oh.
not seen the full report.
Okay, so
Yep, well, we'll send
We have an action item.
that. This is the full report.
Okay, yeah,
This-
we've not seen that,
Okay.
but,
Okay.
I have a comment too. I remember when we were at our board retreat and you presented, and there has been so much going into this process. I remember just being so amazed and everything that had happened. And that was what, a year and a half ago, I think, wasn't it? That
It was last summer.
it was last summer?
Was it?
Okay.
I think it was.
Oh, it just all blends together. But,
To- But to your point, it has been a 2-year process
Mm-hmm.
through the design, the actual, the implementation of the survey and the analysis of the survey, which took a full term,
Mhm.
a little longer than a term.
Mhm.
I think what's nice about this and taking this approach is this is very much about Clackamas and the employees at the
Yes.
college. It's not
Yes.
another entity's survey that we borrowed. It's not a Gallup Q12 that many, many organizations use, and it has its use. And so the idea that we will be utilizing the core of this work going forward into the future is one of the reasons that we made the investment in the time of the team, but also the tremendous number of employees that contributed to the construction of the questions and what an ideal climate looks like. So we're
Yes.
confident that that investment of time will pay dividends in the future because we'll have something that's really homegrown and a
Yes.
tool just for Clackamas.
Yeah, that is so impressive, and you all should be well, everybody should be very pleased with their work and in making this happen, because it's important too. I mean, we really have, this is very important, as the things that were revealed show.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Jared, I just have a question. Well, first I wanted to thank you for putting in this amount of time and for everyone who took the survey, because unless the surveys are taken, we don't know. And I was wondering if it's something you can share, like if you were able to implement some things that you talked about, if you were publicly able to share some of those small tweaks that you were able to make to help. And if not, that's okay. I don't want to get in the weeds.
Small tweaks able to help which part? Sorry, in the
like
survey
you
or
were
like?
saying that you were able to make some changes right away.
Translation of the.
Yeah.
information things.
Yes.
And if
the-
it's not, if it's confidential, but.
It's not some were interesting because we got, people were pretty open about what they shared and it was a lot of information. But one of the things that we heard was that our safety, we had one particular person come and share some information about what our safety officers are experiencing. And we were like, we don't have to necessarily wait to do that, like doing some of the translation services. They were needing some things in other languages. And so like updating some signage and offering new options for just mainly language services. We were like, we don't have to wait for the survey to come out to start working on that. That's something that we can start working on now to provide them with the resources they need, mainly like on the weekends when people are around and asking questions and they don't speak the same, they don't speak the same language, but they're trying to help them. We're like, it would be really helpful if we could share information about the college in other languages. So that work has been ongoing.
Thank you.
So,
I guess a question on the HR result. These seem to rise to the top as far as, I don't know, dissatisfaction, for lack of a better term.
areas
Are we
for
surprised by that? Because HR, and they certainly deal with, they get some problem issues, right? They have to deal with quite a bit, I'm sure.
We do. I think the genesis of most of that is the lack of responsiveness, and we've seen tremendous transition on the HR team. We had, just to give you an example, in the summer of 2023, we had 2 employees on protected leave. We lost 2 employees of an 8-person team, so we were down 4 people. And between June and September, our slowest time of year, we had over 300 service desk tickets, and we were implementing paid leave Oregon. So it has been tremendously difficult to sustain that kind of staff transition. I will also, and I've shared this internally, our staffing profile is really significantly less than our sister colleges. So we're about 4 employees down in our staffing, not transitions, just our regular staffing relative to other community colleges our size. So we struggle with capacity, which is not unheard of at the college. There are a lot of other divisions that struggle with capacity and staffing. And with those transitions, we had a really difficult time being responsive to our customers. I'm happy to announce that we are fully staffed now. We've got a great team, but we really are building out or digging out of a hole that was created during those staff transition times. And so I fully acknowledge that those results are unfortunately indicative of really struggling to meet the needs of the college and us really being committed. We're starting you heard about the service desk, people don't like it. We're starting focus groups April 30th to start to redesign the service desk. So we're committed to turning that result around, and we are now fully staffed. And our average turnaround time open to close for service desk tickets, it's about 2 days now, whereas this time last year it was about 36 days.
How many?
36.
So the bulk of the dissatisfaction was responsiveness,
Mhm.
kind of slow responsiveness.
100%. Yep.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Well, and I'll just add to that too. We weren't surprised.
No.
These, we knew this. We'd been hearing concerns about this. And so I would wholeheartedly agree. A lot of that was staffing, but just kind of a preview for you all too. Much of this issue around HR, even business services and ITS with some dissatisfaction is our computer systems or IT systems are really need an upgrade, and that's not an inexpensive task either for time or money. But it became pretty clear leading up to this, but also then looking at the results of the survey that we need to make some investments in technology, because we've got staff that are small numbers of staff that are working really hard, but they're hindered by workarounds, by duplicity, by just a number of different tasks that they have to make because they're trying to prop up these aging systems. So just FYI, we need to do some work in that area.
I have two things. What we're seeing, what I feel like I'm experiencing right now is often what happens when we hear information. We go to the things and we track the things that are feel like threats and that are like, "Ooh, this is scary. I better pay attention to this because this has the potential to harm us in some way." And that's very natural. And so I rest assured we are working on those things. We are building our next steps. Like we have a plan on how to address those things. And I'd like to highlight that through all of that, our satisfaction rate was 95%. So there was a lot of really positive information that came out. Folks like their jobs here because no organization is not without challenge and not without things that they have to work on and improve. And I think that is a testament to who we are as an organization, that in spite the challenges, people still really like their jobs. And so that's one thing that I would like to highlight. Additionally, this is something that we heard from one of our teammates, CC Leonard, who's not here tonight, is it's really challenging. We hear things all the time around, things that are great or things that we would like to see improved, but we didn't have any, people like to see numbers. They like to see where's the data on that. It's not just your opinion about it, like my one opinion or I'm just the loudest voice. So one of the really wonderful things is now that we have more hard numbers and some experiential data to help back that up, we have a much better starting point on where to pinpoint and focus our energy. And that's one of the really great takeaways to me from doing this survey. And so thank you, Cece. And so again, to reiterate what Tim said is not many of these things were not surprising. They were things we had heard, and this just confirms that for us. So we're not guessing and it's not just one person's voice versus a collective response to this is a theme that we're seeing.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, now that you have data, you can go after grants.
Yes.
You're gonna be able to show numbers. So great job.
No, overall, it looks good. So I'm sorry I was selecting the negative, but,
No. I was saying that's very normal. That's we
it-
felt the same way.
It is normal. And I appreciate Tim bringing up the systems.
Yes.
I mean, Tim has heard me talk about this for several years. And I also want to commend the employees of the business office, ITS and HR, because they still show up every day. They work really hard to do their
Mhm.
best for the college and they're committed.
Yeah.
We're literally just moments away, days away from a payroll conversion that will make it easier for us to run payroll, improve our pay transparency. And so we expect that experience to shift. But I do appreciate Tim bringing that to the forefront because you've got systems and people and you need both to work for the college to work.
Thank you for asking questions
Yeah.
and being interested in what we do.
And having some nighttime reading when you get to.
Yes, when we get it, yes.
I think that, you guys deserve a big pat on the back because this is like, this is like, you're designing something that hasn't been designed and it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication. And I know that the folk who took the survey is looking for you guys to come back to them and say, hey, we're working on coming up with some solution.
Absolutely.
100%.
But thank
And
you.
she's not giving herself enough credit right now. I think Ashley
Ashley.
Sears put an extensive amount of her own personal thought labor and time and capacity into making this successful from beginning to end. And she didn't even ask for it. It was like, she wasn't even on the two teams that said, we want to do this. And she just got put,
was drafted.
we caught her into this. And honestly, she did an outstanding job of analyzing the data, not just helping to create everything and guide us, but then to go out afterwards, analyze the data and then present, what's the most important things for us to present. So just an extreme amount of, I mean, excellence. I don't even know another word to say it, but really outstanding work from Ashley. I would,
Great.
we owe her a lot for that.
We do.
All of you.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. This has been great.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no raises in this.
What'd you say?
So there are no raises.
Yeah. So we have about 15 minutes, a little more than 15 minutes, and we have a little more than 15 minutes, then we'll be back for the regular board meeting. So.
Couldn't figure it.
College Board of Education regular meeting, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. And today is Wednesday, April 16th, 2025, and it's 7 p.m. So Katie, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, I would be happy to.
Thank you.
Position number 7, representing Canby and Malala, Irene Konev.
Here.
Position number 4, representing Oregon City, Josephine Joe Crenshaw.
I'm here.
Position number 3, representing Gladstone and Johnson City, Wade Hathorn.
Or online.
Position number 2, representing Clackamas and Happy Valley, Rob Wheeler.
Here.
Position number 1, representing Milwaukee, Kathy Heisey.
Here remotely.
And position number 6, representing Estacada and Colton, our chair, Jane Reed.
Here. Okay, so next, thank you, Katie. Next are the labor and land acknowledgements, and I'm going to read them this time because I realize I always send them off to people and I really like reading this. So the CCC land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the Clackamas Community College campuses reside on the traditional homelands of the Clackamas, Cascades, and Tumwater bands of Chinooks, as well as the Tualatin and Pudding River bands of Kalapuya and the Northern Malala people. They lived and prospered by maintaining strong cultural ties to the land and through wise management of resources. As signers of the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855, they were removed from their homelands to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation, where they became members of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. Please join us in taking this opportunity to thank and honor the original caretakers of this land, their lives, and their descendants that live on as tribal members today, still carrying on the traditions and cultures of their ancestors. The labor acknowledgement. We also acknowledge that our nation has benefited and profited from the free enslaved labor of Black people. We honor the legacy of the African diaspora and Black life and the knowledge, skills, and human spirit that persevere in spite of violence and white supremacy. Okay, now we have public comments. The Board of Education at Clackamas Community College welcomes our community members to attend board meetings, to become acquainted with the programs and operations of the college district, and members of the public are encouraged to share their comments with the board during the agenda item labeled public comments. Comments from the audience at any other time during the meeting, except for the agenda item, public comments will be declared out of order. So has anyone signed up?
No, there has been none. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. And now we're on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. Approval of 1A minutes, work and regular session of March 19th, 2025. B, 2025-2026 board meeting schedule. And 1C is no formal award core transfer map. And also it has the acceptance of the monthly financial reports and the personnel reports. So does anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda for discussion? Okay. Do I have a motion for approval of items 1A through 2B?
So moved.
Thank you, Rob. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items 1A through 2B. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say no. Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you all. New business action. We have a number of items here. Resolution number R2425-22, authorizing contract agreement with the Wanaha Group in the amount of $4.5 million for 5 years to serve as the college's owners, representatives, and project managers for the bond projects. So I would like to ask Vice President, oh good, you're already here. You knew my wishes to come forward and introduce the Wanaha Group and lead this discussion.
All right. Well, thank you, Chair Reed and the board. First
first I want to give a quick bond update. So, and then I'll get into the rest of this agenda. But one thing that's kind of exciting news for the college was we issued bonds on April 1st. So since our last board meeting, we went out, President Cook and I met with Moody's, which is a rating agency firm. We were able to obtain one of the best ratings in the state of Oregon, actually the same as the state of Oregon and almost higher than all the other community colleges. Was very successful. We chose April 1st as our date for issuance, which was the day before tariffs happened. So it was one of the most successful. There was a bond underwriter there that had been there 35 years doing all the K-12 districts in Oregon and said we had the most demand she'd seen in her 35 years for our bonds. We were the second largest issuance of tax exempt bonds in the nation that day and the best tax rating of any public agency giving bonds that day. So really popular. We had up to 26 times the demand for the amount of bonds we had, which led to $11 million of extra funds of premiums for those bonds. So it was really good news for the college. So I wanted to share that as a quick update. Just it's kind of exciting when you do this work and you're never quite sure where things will land, and it all came together on that bond issuance. So it's a good news for that. The money actually got into the bank account this morning. So it was another exciting piece. They actually, the funds landed into the bank account this morning, and so we actually have the funds in the bank account as of today. So that's kind of an exciting time. I also, Dale and I were just talking about how we had our first large presentation. It's called a pre-award or a pre-RFP proposal interview with all the people who may be interested in our Natural Resources Center of Excellence that may have an interest in that. We invited them, and I believe that was the most you said you had ever seen. 85 vendors from across the Northwest came to talk to us about that project. So it just goes to show there's a lot of excitement about the college, a lot of trust in our financials and investing in the college, and a lot of folks that want to do business with us. So I just wanted to share that because it's kind of exciting news when you
Exciting news.
get on the very front end of something and see
Yeah.
all these positive things coming together like this. So with that, we're here today to talk about the owner's rep contract that we went through a large process. I think I briefed the board last month about wrapping that up. We went through a large RFP process, had 8 proposers come in. We whittled it down to 4 with an interview panel from staff, faculty. We had Wade, Director Wade on that board or on that interview panel as well. And we ended up selecting the Wenaha Group. So with that, I wanted to give Dale from the Wenaha Group a chance to introduce himself.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman Reed and the members of the board. Appreciate you having me here this evening. Wenaha Group is a owner's representative firm that's been around for about 15 years. Our founder is Rob Quimps. He's a member of the Confederated Tribes of Umatilla. He was their public works director and decided to leave them and come help other folks with their building projects. We do about half educational projects, civic work, and then about half tribal work. And that includes entertainment, but also a lot of medical, housing, museum, those kind of projects that support the tribal activities around the region. We have 4 primary offices. Federal Way is our headquarters. We have a presence in Portland that's quite large. We have a Pendleton office and a Kennewick office. And then we have some client work that's clear over in North Dakota and also in Louisiana. Those are just some small teams out in those regions. We have about a little less than 40 people in our firm right now, and going strong. Our company is founded on guiding principles. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I will tell you 2 that are very important to me that I think you'll appreciate. One is the power of collaboration. That's super important to me, and it's the way I operate. And then the other is the necessity of transparency. And as we go through this journey together, you'll be hearing a lot from the bond team about how things are going, good or bad, but we'll do our best to make sure that it's good. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And so you have a contract in the resolution before you. It's a 4.5 million, not to exceed 4.5 million over 5 years. I will note that we went different than the last contract. Last time we had it with an EC group for our last bond. We did smaller 3-year contracts, and we kept having to come back to the board and do extensions. So we looked at what would the total size of this bond be, given if we needed your whole group for an entire 5 years, it's still less than we would have needed for an EC over that entire bond last time. So we try to keep that more of like, what's the total scope of this would it be? And that way we won't necessarily have to keep coming back if we get to 3 years and we haven't quite completed, but we fully expect it to be under that and not have to come back to the board for this. So that's a little bit of why it looks a little bit larger than what we had with the last one. Currently they've been working under a short-term 1-month contract for us to get through to this contract, and they've exceeded expectations so far. They've been great to work with. Dale has already embedded himself over at Llewellyn and is on board and we've been hitting the ground running. We've already got a number of projects that are already going right now that are getting ready for architects coming on board. So it has really been a pleasure to see the Winnahaw group going so far. So I guess with that, I would ask for an approval for the resolution.
Okay. Let me see, what do I need to read about that? Just that we have this resolution.
I think
You just need someone to make a motion.
Okay, and before we do that, can I just say, this is so exciting, all of this news that you are bringing, that you're on board, and the way your organization operates, and how it's all just, the money that is coming, and this is all a very, very exciting beginning for the wonderful things that have come from this bond. So this is good. So
Reed, I move to approve resolution number R 24/25-22, authorizing Clackamas Community College to contract with Wanaha Group for owner's representative project management of bond projects over the next 5 years in the amount not to exceed 4.5 million.
okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution number R 24/25-22. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Okay, this motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, okay, our next item is the Clackamas Community College Memo of Understanding. And let me see, it's been a few months since this originally came before the board, but I'd really like to thank the foundation for taking their time and looking at this so closely and revising places that needed to be revised. And also recognize that the foundation has been established for many years and works hard to fulfill its mission. And we are grateful to have such a thriving foundation. As board members, as you can see in the agenda packets, there's a red line version of the memo of understanding, along with a clean version, the previous agreement, and the foundation bylaws. So I would like to invite Executive Director Deborah Mason to please come forward and present this and any additional comments that you have. Yeah. Oh, and Alex is here too. Good. And Mr. Crooks, Chair of the Foundation Board, Alex Crook.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Reed, for the opportunity to be here again.
Yes.
Yeah, would you like me to say anything about the foundation, or kind of? You did a great job.
Well,
Well, I guess I could say that we made all the changes that the college was proposing, that the board was proposing. We were happy to do that. And we are hoping it gets approved so we can move forward.
Okay, and before we go through that process, I know that there's some other foundation board members here tonight too, aren't there? Would you
Yes.
like to introduce them?
Absolutely, yes, I would like to introduce them. We have, thank you. We have Alex Luchek, who is a foundation board member. Alex, would you mind standing up? Yeah, Alex is with the Miles Fiberglass Company. And we have Patty Cook here.
We know
The
her.
Cook family?
From the Cook family, and we have Amy Crooks.
Good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are a total of 20 board members. Other folks were going to try to make it, but I think busy schedules kept them away. But yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share with us about the process? It sounds like you all had meetings and you discussed it and brought it back.
Yeah, and we had meetings, and unfortunately, I think the reason it got, now that we're 2 months later, is because our executive committee meetings where we discussed these things didn't align with this meeting.
That's right.
We got
Yep.
tripped up and we just didn't make it in time to have the conversation we wanted to have, and so we had to postpone it a month.
Okay. So do any board members here have any questions about the new form, which is pretty straightforward, it's really clear where the changes are, they all make a lot of sense, and so excuse me? I don't know, Wade, do you have any questions? I didn't know, you didn't wait. No.
Yeah, I do. I have one important question. I noticed that the changes that were made to add President Cook as an ex officio member, non-voting to the foundation board. But my recommendation originally was for President Cook to be both a ex officio voting member of both the board and the executive committee. And I strongly feel that that should have been included as part of this process, and it's not. So.
Can I respond to that? Chair Reed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we did look into that, and we found that there is no precedent in the state for the executive or the president of the college to be on a voting member of the foundation board also. So we did not approve that, or we didn't include that in the MOU changes. We do feel like the president has a substantial amount of influence, and we welcome that influence on the foundation board at our meetings and at our executive committee meetings. And we do have 4 liaisons who are staff members of the college who are voting members of the foundation. So we just felt like that was a substantial amount of influence, and this is nothing. And I talked to President Cook about this, that, you know, this is nothing to do with President Cook, obviously, just maintaining the independence of the foundation. And there's just, we found no precedent for it, so.
And our bylaws state that as well, that
Yes.
it's ex officio non-voting.
We had a meeting about this with you folks on the side, and that was not what was agreed to in that meeting. And so I find it surprising that now that it's been changed, okay? And so I'm just telling you that my recommendation stands, and I intend to vote no tonight. So. What's the reason stated?
Well, maybe we can, knowing that, we can call for a vote. Do we have a motion to approve the CCC Foundation Memorandum of Understanding for July 1st, 2024 to June 2027? June 30th, 2027? Do I hear a motion to approve? Okay, Joe so moves. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so let's vote by acclamation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Are there any abstentions?
I am abstaining. And I apologize for being on the phone. This is really not ideal. I just am experiencing technical difficulties getting there in my car. But this is troubling to me that I would like to, I guess what I would say is I would like to continue the conversation. And I don't want this to seem like a slight to the foundation in any way. You all are doing wonderful work. I do want to preserve a very strong relationship. And when one member of our board, I did not know this information previously, shares this, it is troubling to me. So I guess I just want to hope that we can keep the lines of communication open around this particular issue, and really hope that we can continue to work toward something that is really beneficial and clear for all of us.
Okay, Kathy, so are you say you're abstaining?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I won't have any more comments except that there has been quite a bit of discussion around this. And but we now have 4 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstaining. So I think the motion passes. And thank you very much. This has not been this has been harder than I thought it would be. But you are doing such wonderful work for the college, and thank you very much. And thank your board too for this. And we will, as Kathy says, if there are, and Wade too, if there are these, we will iron out any kinds of challenges that there are or looking at them. But this motion passes, and so we have this MOU until 2027.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Happy to move forward.
Thank you. Yes, yes. Okay. So next is the employee cost of living and benefits adjustment, and President Cook and Vice President Schaefer.
Yeah, I'll ask Vice President Schaefer to come up and address this point of business.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. What we have for this agenda item is our cost of living adjustments. I do want to acknowledge that this is one of the, we did do tuition last month, but which doesn't impact the budget, but the COLA is an actual act that you take that impacts our budgets. So it's kind of one of those times when we do have to acknowledge that this isn't an easy time for any of us. This is a difficult time. You see a lot of our colleagues around here are all have a certain sense of nervousness around our budget. But this is also one of those key pieces that we bring to the board every year to make sure we're taking care of our employees and taking care of our commitments and promises, which many of which are contractual. And in this case, we also have this one we also note in the cover sheet that the administration budget, the administrator budget is included in COLA is included in this as a something that we set in 2016. We put in motion getting our administrators up to market study, market rates, so we could get those settled. And I think 2018 was the year we brought that to the board to help get that set and kind of get this group setting that to CPI every year. So we've been setting that to CPI every year, and this is our opportunity to approve all of those cost of living budgets for all of our contractual obligations and for the administrators, keeping those with CPI every year. So cost of living for the inflation. So that's really what this is for, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have any questions.
Any questions?
My question's, what if the COLA turns out to be by the guide used 1 or 2%? What then happens?
What do you mean by the guide use? So if we had a 1% CPI,
3% is like a cap, right?
we would, well, let's just play that out. If it was a CPI of 1%, we would be recommending the minimum. It's actually has bookends for our associations because we bargain those. So if it was 1%, we would still honor those collective bargaining agreements, which may say 2.5% or 3% or whatever that particular year's, we'll call it the floor is for theirs. Administration would still just get 1% at that point to keep those even with the CPI market. So we would effectively be paying the administration less of a COLA than the rest of the staff, but the focus there is less about keeping with the other bargaining units and more about keeping administration current with the market so we can keep those jobs marketable.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, can you just clarify a point for me? That when you say the administration, are you talking about non-represented employees?
Correct. Non-represented, our administrators and our admin professional groups here at the college.
Okay. Because classified staff has its own representation, right? And I think of them as admin. So.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
There aren't, I'm trying to find the language here to call for the. One, please. Just. Okay, okay. Yes. So can I have a motion to approve what has just been presented by Jeff, the cost of living?
So moved.
Okay. And you will second, Joe. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, this motion passes. Great. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, and our next item of business is a sad one. We have resolution number 2425-25, declaring a board vacancy and establishing the application process to fulfill that vacancy. So, our board member, our fellow board member, Aaron Woods, has resigned from his position on the board effective July 2nd, 2025. April 2nd. April 2nd. It's, I want to thank him, and I know all of us wanted to thank him for his time and service on the board, and he has been on our board with us for 5 years. And we so appreciate his volunteerism and his dedication to the college and the students. We need to now declare the position vacant, advertise the vacancy, and interview applicants. A timeline has been outlined in your agenda document. And do you have any questions or concerns about this timeline or the process? Or any comments okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I'll
Do I-
second.
And Irene seconds a motion to approve resolution R 2425-25, declaring a board vacancy and establishing the application process to fulfill the vacancy. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Are there any abstentions? Okay, this motion passes. I think we'll have probably an opportunity later to talk more about Aaron and what he has meant to us, but if anybody wants to so we can wait till then, or if anybody wants to share anything right now, this would be a good time to do so.
Shane, I think I have a few comments. I don't know that, from my perspective, that words can really share my personal gratitude to Aaron, and we really should call him Senator Aaron Woods because he's still a senator in the state, just for his dedication, not only to the college, but really to the betterment of people around him and those that he touched, right? So he won't just be missed. There'll be a hole that has to get filled by his presence, by his leadership, and really by his thoughtfulness in terms of his vision and and all the things that he sees and wants to have happen, not only just for this college, but for the community he serves, for the state of Oregon, and really for the United States. He's an amazing person. So
Thank you, Wade. That's right. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. So we will move on to our student faculty presentation, and we have presentation about the American Association for Women in Community Colleges, and I'd like to ask Dean Armetta Bruni to please come forward and introduce the presenters.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to ask Terry, Brittany, and Elena to come up, please. All right, so Terry Olson has worked for Clackamas Community College for 28 years. She started her career in the business office, transitioned to the Small Business Development Center, and has spent the last 27 years in the customized training and development Development Services Department, where she provides outstanding service and supports to industry partners and community organizations to meet their training needs. Terry holds an associate's degree in accounting and a bachelor's degree in business management, and she has been a long-standing board member of the AAWCC and has been a part of the organization for the past 26 years. Brittany Ellerbrook began her career at CCC in 2014, working as a part-time admissions counselor, and then transitioning to the outreach coordinator, supporting CTE and our apprenticeship programs. In 2022, she transitioned to the Career Pathways and TAPS Grants Director, where she provides oversight and support for a variety of grants. Brittany holds a master's degree from Portland State University in educational leadership and policy with specialization in post-secondary adult and continuing education. She has been a member of AAWCC since 2022 and subsequently volunteers on campus to make sure we are growing and expanding the program here. And Elena Zeiler has been here for almost 2 years as our administrative assistant for our education, ECE, Human Services, and Criminal Justice Department. Elena graduated from the U of O with a bachelor's degree in history and political science. She has a master's degree in education, and believe it or not, she is starting another master's degree this fall. What is that in, Elena?
Library Information Sciences.
Okay.
So it's an online program at the University of Illinois.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I want to thank each of them for being here and their commitment to this organization and really us putting a staple here on at CCC for us to participate in the great work that they're doing. So thank you.
Thanks, Emma. We regroup. Let's do that.
Hi. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to come and share with you today. AAWCC is the American Association for Women in Community Colleges. I started at the college in 1996, and then 1997, I was very fortunate to join customized training, and I kind of described it. I was raised in a department that was heavily involved in AAWCC. So I became a member without really understanding what I was becoming a member of. But with the guidance of my director and then even my dean, the dean at the time was president of the state chapter for about 8 years, and then actually provided an endowment through the foundation, which continues to serve us today. And you'll hear a little bit more about that later. So what else? So AAWCC, the Oregon State chapter, I've been on the board for 10 years. I'm now past president. But it is, Oregon happens to have the only nationwide state chapter. And it serves, I think it serves us, we serve a particular niche where we're able to have members from all 17 community colleges participate, and the board provides 3 conferences per year that anyone can sign up and attend. We've done a summer conference, a fall 2-day conference, and then a week-long OILD, Oregon Institute for Leadership Development.
That's something that I've learned is really a strength of AAWCC in Oregon, is that Oregon Institute for Leadership Development. And I applied, and Tim reviews and selects or nominates attendees. So I was able to go the summer of 2023 and sort of became an evangelist for this opportunity. It was really powerful. I did not expect to meet and learn from 6 of Oregon the female community college presidents, and in a really like safe environment. I mean, it was at Silver Falls. I think I've got some photos here. And so they were in like hiking gear. And so just to hear these women, their personal experience, their educational experience, and their path into leadership was really impactful. And actually today in the mail, I received a card from the leaders of that. They're out of Lynn Benton, reminding me what the goals I set 2 years ago. Like this literally arrived in the mail today, so it felt very timely. And I wrote that I was going to help revive an AAWCC chapter at our college with Terry's help. She's kind of our legacy and historian, and it was like all the background. I said I needed to attend more board meetings. I decided I wanted to be in the room where decisions were made and learn about how they were made. So that was a really great example just earlier, how we can disagree and things can still be moving on. And then I also said I would tell everybody at CC that they need to apply for OILD for that Leadership Institute. So Elena is going to share a little more about the experience that she just had last summer.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be able to go last summer along with Adrienne Skritzmeyer. So the whole experience is 4 days long, and each day is like 12 hours of different sessions on various professional development opportunities. One of my favorite parts is something that Brittany actually just mentioned. So throughout the week, we had presentations from, I believe, 4 or 5 different women presidents from different community colleges across Oregon. And they all described their leadership journeys and how they got to the position where they are, today. And it was really cool getting to hear all of the different styles of leadership from all of these like amazing people. And I know that I definitely like took a lot from the experience. And it was also a really great opportunity to expand my professional network. So since all of the attendees were coming from community colleges across Oregon, it was really cool being in a room where we all got to share our experiences. And I learned a lot from them. And we still keep in touch today. So we actually, even just this morning, we had an email thread where we were all like checking in with each other. So having that ongoing like professional connection was a really cool opportunity. So.
Another thing is that they're in really remote locations and there's no cell service. So it's a very immersive experience over the 4 days. Also coming up, some of the professional development opportunities are really amazing. The national president, so the president of the national AAWCC is coming to Oregon in May. And then Parfait, he's done our in-service, and so he's going to be presenting at the conference. So I know we have a scholarship for people to attend so they can apply and not have to use professional development funds. That's from that endowment that Terry mentioned. And so in terms of what we're offering or what AAWCC can do for CCC employees, we've tried to do a variety of events that are maybe more social in nature, but it felt like we all needed to connect a little better after COVID and do some of those in-person events. So we've done like a tea, we did a paddle and picnic day where we all took our paddle boards out on the river. We've done like cookie decorating, but definitely promoting the regional conferences or the state conference that's happening in the spring. So there was I think Sabi told us all at the last minute about this poker power event, and it was really fun. It was teaching women how to like assess risk and negotiate and read the room. And so just some really neat opportunities in that area. Our next thing that we are planning for our local chapter here is a tea on May 1st, and we have invited 5 people from the college to talk about their own professional journeys. So Aaron Armetta offered to do that, and then Aaron Gravel, Katrina Boone will be there, Adrian, who is also an OILD attendee. So like engaging them in some of the other, like, let's bring along some other people and offer these opportunities. I think, yeah. We're still working out our chapter structure. We didn't really have an interest in like having an election and having a president of the chapter. So we're going to try to model it more after the shared governance councils. We're working through that with Jill Freeman. And then trying to think, yeah, if you have any questions for us about AAWCC, we're happy to answer those.
I don't have a question, but I love it. I mean, I think this is a very, very powerful organization. And I'm so glad that you all are bringing it alive and making it continue. And the meetings, like those meetings, 4 days of that kind of intensive getting to know about leadership is powerful. It's life-changing. And as the president of OCCA last year, I got to know I got to know all of the presidents, and that Oregon is blessed with amazing presidents of both genders, but
Yes.
I think especially the boys are good too. But we have some wonderful women leaders in this state, and to get to know them is cool.
And several of them have been through the OALD Leadership Institute.
Uh-huh.
I did Julie Huckestein, formerly at Chemeketa.
Yes.
Jessica Howard, currently at Chemeketa, is very involved with the national board. She does the webinars and trainings for them. So I'll see the emails come through. And if she's on there, I'm usually going to tune in for those
Good.
ones. So
And she'll bring you soap. Did
okay,
she bring you
didn't
soap?
know that.
Tell her about soap. Ask
Okay.
her about soap. She makes amazing stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
those are my thoughts. Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions?
Thank you. This is so wonderful to hear that you are taking this leadership and reviving a chapter here, building up your network here and at the college. That's all wonderful. Thank you.
If I can just share one more thing. So in sort of preparing to talk with you all today, I delved into some archives that I have. And Clackamas actually does have a long history of being very supportive and involved with this organization. So I have actually a catalog from 1988 of sessions that were offered. So I just wanted to share, Clackamas really has a rich history, and life happens, things have ebbed and flowed, but I think we really have a good core team of people now who are really engaged and working toward getting having more robust chapter, more opportunities for professional development.
We really appreciate Tim and the president's office for sponsoring an attendee every summer at that institute. And then we're able to use the endowment to send a second person. And it's 24 people each summer. So each college gets around 2 or 3 employees that they can send.
That's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we have association representative reports and comments. And I see that Associated Student Government, ASG, Bethany Day, you're here on Zoom, is that right?
Yes,
And do you have a report to share with us?
I sure do.
Good.
Okay, so for ASG right now, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and so we're hosting a few different events for this. On April 24th, we're hosting a trivia to bring awareness about SAM, and then later that night, ASG, along with one of our honor societies, Psi Beta and Parents Club, are hosting a Take Back the Night walk around campus and local businesses to bring awareness to support survivors of sexual assault. And then next, it's that time again that we're holding elections for president and vice president of student government. And that is going to happen week 5 is when voting happens. So the next time that I see all of you, hopefully I will be introducing you to the new president for the 25-26 school year. And the last thing is that we're again hosting Wellness Month during May, which is also Mental Health Awareness Month, which is something near and dear to my heart. I'm really excited to have a full month of wellness activities for the students to enjoy. Some of the events this year include a massage day combined with a bracelet making event, a harvest your own salad event, which the horticulture department is growing the lettuce bowls. And then we're also doing a health and resource fair that includes many local wellness businesses, clubs, and college resources, a therapy dog, a dunk tank, a car bash, and many other crazy fun activities And then lastly, we're doing another dodgeball tournament. So those are some of the fun things ASG is planning for the rest of spring term. And I'm just really excited for the end of the school year and finishing out my last term at CCC.
Well, thank you. So you will not be back then.
No, this time for real. Not
Yeah.
coming back.
Thank you for your report.
Of course.
Okay. Full-time faculty, Lars Campbell, do you have anything to add to your written report or want to just mention some parts of it?
Mention just a couple of short things. And then
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for having us here again. I want to share a few things that I thought just were kind of especially impactful from what I've shared in the written report. And then a music event notice that I like to do while I'm here, since that's my field. First, Laura Joyce from the English for Speakers of Other Languages Department shared a really nice report about the record numbers of students that they're seeing in their program. She said up 45% in this year over last year, pretty amazing growth that we'd like to celebrate. She also wanted to mention that students are really worried about the federal changes in ICE policy, and that full-time faculty in ESOL, as well as the Director of Adult Education, have been gathering resources for immigrants and creating guidance for faculty. So really great work going on in that department from those faculty. Wanted to talk a little bit about the counseling department, who's got a new counseling preferences tool to try to improve access to services for them. So they've been rolling that out. It's pretty new, but very, very nice that they're able to scan a QR code around campus and get access to in-person or telehealth, make some choices. They've got bilingual services in Spanish and English, and they can choose male or female person to have appointments with. So pretty nice place for students to be able to have access to that resource on campus. And then lastly, I just wanted to give the library number. The textbook affordability has increased by 76,000 in winter of 2025 and is totaling out at 3,990,000. So pretty darn cool. Should cross 4 million in spring term this year. So amazing work over in the library. I did want to mention one music thing. We're gonna do our first ever, I think, event on the Harmony campus on May 7th. We thought it would be cool to have a chance to be on that other part, engaging that community and the Milwaukee community, hopefully in the community room. So we've set up a day on a Wednesday night that we're going to be down there. We're going to call it Jazz Harmony, and we're gonna try, sort of pilot this out. If it works well, we're interested in trying to do it kind of on a regular basis and turn it into a sort of jazzy nightclub once a month event, which I think would be really, really fun. So please come and join us at the Harmony campus. May
You don't
7th.
need me to say, woohoo, I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And then lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit as we're approaching May and the budget times. I wanted to talk a little bit about full-time faculty and where we're thinking about the preferences and the strategy of the college. I know we all know we're in uncertain budget times and trying to close some gaps in that. That said, the full-time faculty ranks here since 2017 have been reduced by 6%. So we're getting leaner and trimmer, and we're losing another 2 full-time faculty this year. And our hope is that as we go through this process, trying to cut this $3 million, that we're really focused on trying to find ways that don't affect the academic offerings and progress for students. We really want to be cognizant of that and really advocating for our student body. While losing about 10 faculty in 8 years might not seem like a lot, when we're already working so trim, it's difficult. There's a large workload in being program leads and working for our students. So we hope that will be a focus of the board and something you'll be thinking about as you're navigating that process. I'll also say we've got a really young full-time faculty right now with so many hires recently, about 25 new hires. So we're kind of already saving some money. Just with that young faculty. That'll come later when those folks make it through their steps. And so I hope that's something that you all will take into consideration as we're making those processes. I will say, as a person who is pretty engaged in the college community, it's been hard to find. Our new shared governance process, I have not found a lot of information about specifics about dealing with this budget problem yet. I've heard lots of broad, I haven't heard much specific. It's been different without our college council sessions to really get good information. So I know that's something probably we'll be working on too, as we get into the longevity of this shared governance process, but that's something we want to be able to see that open and transparent information. That's it for me.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So associate faculty, Christopher Zimmerly Beck, are you here? Yes, you are. Good. Okay.
Hey everyone, it's so great to see you in person instead of on YouTube, a screen. This year, my kiddo has been sick or had a soccer game, so I've been like zooming in while listening to board meetings. So I'm really glad to be here in person. When Jeff came up to talk about our COLA, he mentioned that there's some anxiety about economics here at the college, and I think from Lars, we're hearing that as well. And we have members with us today. I'm really grateful people came. I have notes that I was going to talk about, but I think just like addressing you guys straight on is going to be more helpful. We're really concerned about this budget. We're really concerned with its impact on students. We have members who are already being told that they're having classes cut, fewer offerings for summer term, for example, before the board has even approved a budget. And it's really causing a sense of anxiety here at the college for our members. I have members coming to me with questions. And like Lars said, we're just not quite sure how to figure those answers out. I have statistics here about the growth of the administration while we've offered smaller instruction, and I'm happy to share all those numbers with you. But I actually think it's more important for you to just know that associate faculty, the members I represent, and I think all across the college, people really do not want to see a budget that ends up harming our students, that leads to oversized classrooms, that leads to fewer course offerings. We really don't feel that's the way to address the real priorities that the college has to take on and the issues we're trying to tackle. So I'm really here on behalf of my members to really just ask all of you to help us as an institution prioritize that commitment to our students. I think I share with you guys at almost every board meeting I speak at. I'm a Clackamas success story, right? I was a student here. And then my teachers here helped me get into college, a four-year institution, and then graduate school. And I love that I get to come back and teach here. I couldn't do that if I was in a class that was overcrowded. I couldn't do that if I was in a classroom where my teacher was too busy to focus on me. We really prioritize our students at Clackamas, and we're worried as we're seeing classes already being cut before the budget's even been adopted, that we're going to fail that mission. And I really hope we can commit to that. So I just want to thank you all for your time. I want to thank our members that came tonight and really just reinforce that the members at the college, we really want to see a budget that prioritizes our students, doesn't harm instruction, doesn't harm our classified peers, all that good stuff. And if you want the statistics I have, I'm happy to share them, but I just wanted to talk to you and address you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Christopher. Yes, thanks. Okay. Classify, Jennifer Pope. We're here today. Good.
Hello, thanks for having us tonight. I am just interested in echoing what my colleagues just said about our concerns about the budget and where we're at right now, but maybe from a classified perspective, which is in some ways similar and in some ways different. Unlike those two, I talk too much when I go on the fly. So I have a little bit of a prepared statement here, but CCC's mission and values, as we all know, express our belief that as a community, learning and student success and equity are things that we prioritize. With that in mind, as we work through this budget process, we are asking the board to make sure that we are spending the college's money in ways that truly show our students, our employees, and our community what our priorities are. When we look at spending, that shows that we added 18 administrator positions since 2022, even as we lost 12 faculty, 12 full-time classified, and 32 other positions at the college in that same period, it doesn't feel like we're prioritizing equity, student success, and learning. When we hear that cuts need to be made to compensate for a structural deficit and that attempts will be made to minimize layoffs, even as the college began this fiscal year with a general fund balance that was $6.9 million larger than required by your board policy and a budgeted contingency that was over $2 million larger than necessary, it doesn't feel like we're prioritizing learning, equity, and student success. When many, if not most, classified employees, including several that are in this room, have been doing double duty for years now to complete the same amount of work that we were doing before, but with fewer people than we had previously, as positions in our departments go unfilled or frozen or are completely eliminated. And when they come to work in fear that they're going to receive layoff notices that they did a few years ago to help the college solve its budget problem. And when we watch our faculty colleagues, like as already mentioned here, lose course sections and take on more students for the same reason, it doesn't feel like we're prioritizing equity, learning, and student success. When we're feeling the impact of these reductions through these eliminations, even though we don't even have an approved budget yet, it feels like the time is critical to ask the board and our administration to develop and approve a budget that shows our students, our employees, and our community that we are prioritizing equity, learning, and student success. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we are on to college reports and the president's business report. Tim?
Thank you, Chair Reed. Just a few items tonight. I've been starting, I think, since January, which is federal updates. That's usually been on folks' minds. There continue, of course, to be changes, and we're still trying to figure out how to respond to Department of Ed, and we certainly don't like what we're seeing with some of the elite private colleges and as they're losing significant funds. We did lose actually our first federal grant recently. It was a bridge grant that we had with through science and with Portland State to give students to help students get scholarships over that. So that was that's really kind of quite disappointing. We've also got at least I actually I've heard of several others, but I know of at least one class in our ECE Spanish that students were informed in that class that we're getting reimbursed through Head Start that they no longer will. And so that's going to jeopardize their ability to continue on in that class. So I was really actually happy to see the ESOL report and the full-time faculty report about all the great work that they're doing. But we're hearing the same thing about the concerns that their students have. And so as we continue on, we'll next week, I believe, we'll be doing another federal update for the campus about where things are at and what we know, but it continues to be a moving target and something that we have to adjust to. That said, this week our enrollment is still, it's just under 10%, it's about 9.6% in reimbursable FTE. I think I shared with the board before what we're seeing with fewer FAFSAs being completed and then some challenges around ESOL and some other areas. I'm anticipating that will not be as strong next year, but we'll have to see how these next several months really play out. Let's see, I wanted to also talk or inform the board recognition of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Our leadership, our LEAP office, in collaboration with our Veterans Office, is hosting a documentary screening of a movie called Island Soldier. It's looks actually pretty amazing. Film directed by Nathan Finch. That will be May 6th at 5:30, 7:30. That's not the same night as the music, is it? I'm trying to remember now what you said with 7th. Okay, so you've got like 2 nights now. Like Tuesday night is the film screening, and Wednesday night is the music opportunity down at Harmony. Both look to be really great events. And I'll comment real quick. I really appreciate all the association's comments on the budget and the concerns about maintaining our work towards student success and learning. The board has been really clear the last few years that we need to address that structural deficit. Our new shared governance structure, has been, to Lars's point, has been a little more challenging getting that word out, but there is a finance council that's been meeting regularly and looking at that. That's a public forum. And then within that, there's what's called the BAS, the Budget Advisory Subgroup, that's been working there too. So there, we do need to improve on having that information out so that people can hear it and see it as, I think that shift from that college council structure to this, to the council structure is, it will take a bit of time to get there, but they have been working on that for a few months, and because of the deadline next month, you will be getting recommendations soon. And we are taking seriously, how we look at that, really look at equity learning, student success, and how we're trying to minimize the impact where we can. So I just appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Appreciate the comments, and more to come. So that's my report, unless there's any questions for me.
Any questions for Tim? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're on to the board chair business report and the OCCA, Oregon Community College Association report. I'm going to combine those again. I don't have much to report about as the board chair position, but on OCCA has a lot of stuff going on right now. It is the most important roles that OCCA plays in supporting community colleges is happening right now, and it's to advocate for the critical funding for the Community College Support Fund, which falls under the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, or HECS, agency budget, and that happens every biennium. So OCCA will be, as a part of this process, they're going to be presenting to the Joint Committee on Ways and Means Subcommittee on Education, emphasizing the importance that community colleges and the need of the work that we do and the need for increased funding to support student success. There'll also be an opportunity for public comment and testimony as part of this process. And this subcommittee will make recommendations to the full budget setting Joint Ways and Means Committee on Education Budgets. So it is now tentatively set for next week. It was supposed to happen yesterday and today, I think it was, but they postponed it a week. But next week, during the 21st and 22nd, during the HECS budget presentation, OCCA will make the case for adequate community college funding to support the increasing needs of communities and students. And it's going to showcase a lot of students and faculty and staff and presidents and board members and community and industry partners to help tell the story of how community colleges work for Oregon. That's kind of our slogan this year. Community colleges work for Oregon. The presentation will be followed by opportunities on April 28th for public testimony in support of the $920 million for the Community College Support Fund. So Lori Hall, who's our campus advocacy coordinator, has arranged for a number of students to be giving presentations on that day. But we're also, OCCA is encouraging board members and community members and staff, in fact, whoever can go to be at least a body, a presence down there, maybe not to testify, because there will be a lot of testimony, but if people can be in Salem at this meeting, it would be powerful. And submit written testimony is also something that can be done. And so I'm going to just kind of asking a lot of people to do that. I think the more they hear from us, the better. And there's a link on OCCA's website about different kind of templates for testimony and letters and things like that. But also Lori is a good contact, and she can help you and tell you what to do if you're able to be down there. So just want to encourage people to do that. Friday, upcoming things, Friday is the annual All Oregon Academic Team Luncheon at Chemeketa's Eola Center, and it is always a very inspiring afternoon. It recognizes high-achieving two-year college students who demonstrate academic excellence and intellectual rigor, combined with leadership and service extending beyond the classroom to benefit society. And it is always inspiring. There will be I think four students from across the state who will be giving presentations or talking about their experience. But we will also have folks from each college there. And Clackamas will be recognizing Corey Agnew, Stephanie Dale, Cameron Horner, and Cody Thompson. There'll be, two of them are able to attend, two are not. But Cody also received national recognition as one of the 2 Coca-Cola New Century Scholars from Oregon. So Oregon chooses 2 of these people, and he is one of them. And they are awarded, that award is given to the highest scoring applicants from each state on the All USA Academic Team competition. So they will be there, and I think there are several other, Tim and a number of people will be there at that luncheon at the Eola Center, which is a gorgeous place at Chemeketa. And also, 24th is a lunch and learn at noon on diverse perspectives, elevating student voices. That will focus on the critical role of student advocacy in strengthening statewide support for community colleges. Just how our student leaders can just share their unique perspectives and highlight how amplifying student voices fosters success and ensures equitable access to community colleges for everyone. So that will be an interesting hour-long lunch and learn, and that you can sign up for on the OCCA's website as well. Register for that. And the 29th will be another one, May 29th, which will be, this was just newly announced, that our national partners at the Association for Community College Trustees, they're offering to lead an hour-long session, providing insights on the federal budget process, executive actions, and other key federal updates affecting community colleges, and they'll be able to answer questions from participants. So that's May 29th, Lunch and Learn, and April 24th, Lunch and Learn. So that's my report. Yes.
Can I just make a comment on testifying really briefly and the importance of that? So I would encourage all of you, if you have the time, to either going in person's great, or doing it, if you can submit written testimony. I used to wonder how much that really mattered. And I started asking legislators, I said, how much do you really pay attention to all the testimony that you're getting as they're sitting in those hearings? And I was surprised to hear some pretty frank answers that it really is about volume, that they pay attention to groups that are coming and where there's quite a few. So, our association and your members and the rest, it matters if they're, we are outnumbered by K-12 and some of these others, and the way the system's set up is we're pitted against each other. But when they were also pretty frank that they expect to hear from people like me, and they sort of don't, they want to hear from other people about what really matters. So, to the extent that any of you can take the time to submit something or testify in person, it really makes a difference. And if you can get others to do that as well, I think community college, historically, we've been sort of, let's just do our thing and not get too involved in this, and that's to our detriment. We're $60 million away from what the governor's budget recommended and what we think we need as a state for community colleges. And from what I'm hearing, it's going to be really challenging to get that in the environment we have. So they're coming down to the wire too, just as we are with budgets. And so the extent that you can do that is really helpful. Thanks for that time.
No, that's good to hear. Yeah. So foundation, the Clackamas Community College Foundation. Joe, do you have a report to share?
Yes, I have a report to share. First of all, the foundation is going gangbusters here. The round 1 of the scholarship application period closes on April 22nd, and there are 645 applications complete. And we'll be closer to 1,000 before the ending of the session. This will certainly be a record year for scholarship applications, and we believe the increase is due to our outreach and marketing efforts, along with our new software application process being more user-friendly. The need is increasing, as we all know, and we've shared tonight. So the foundation will continue to find more funding sources to support more students. The foundation is truly grateful for all the scholarships and that they are seeing scholarship growth in CTE, ITS, and CNA programs, which is incredible. Please consider becoming a volunteer reader this spring. Given the turnout, we will need more readers this round than ever. Please be in touch with Deborah or Adam if interested, and we'd like to thank you beforehand. The foundation's flagship event, Rise Up, is on May 14th at 11:30 in the morning at the Abernathy Center in Oregon City. Buy a ticket for yourself, bring a few others that would enjoy an important and an inspiring lunch and learn about what the foundation is doing to assist our students here at the college. Our endowment is doing well, returning a 8.5% in 2024 and has demonstrated resilience to volatility over the last few years. While market concentration was a headwind to a diversified investment thesis in the early part of the year, we started to see benefits of diversification as the year closed out and into 2025. Going forward, our portfolio is well positioned to take advantage of growth environments while others being allocated to be aware of the downside risk, because we don't know really where we're going to stand. But thanks to the foundation for helping us to prioritize our students' education. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Joan. So any community reports?
I don't have.
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I have no visual cues. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Tim for joining me and doing most of the presentation work, frankly. But we had a really nice visit with the folks up at Willamette View and Rose Villa. They hosted an educational forum and invited the local school board folks who are running to come and introduce themselves. And just as a courtesy, they also invited me, and then I invited Tim to come and share an update on what's going on at CCC. So it was a really nice place to connect with folks, and we had a lot of good conversations afterward.
I wanted to thank Senator Woods and our fellow board member at Clackamas Community College for his dedication, his visionary leadership over the past 5 years. It's been an honor to work with him. His impact on our college and community, I believe, has been transformative. His passion for education, the way he led with that inclusivity in mind and student success has left a lasting legacy for our college. And I'm truly going to miss working with him. And I know we're going to have to fill that position, but there's no way that someone could fill what he provided for the college and the community.
Thank you, Irene. If people do know folks in the Wilsonville area who would be, might be interesting and good board members, do think that way, and that we'll be posting it on the the process on the website.
It's West Lynn as well, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wilsonville and West Lynn. Mhm.
Yeah, I just have a comment really fairly quickly. I was saddened last week to see the visas of a handful of students at Portland State University revoked for apparently no reason, like many of the other people we've seen, right? It's clear that present administration is waging war on academic institutions and the freedom of speech essentially in those institutions. I hope that this college and all colleges is in the state of Oregon, stand proud, stand strong, and stand by their mission and purpose, right? To support students, their right to speech, their right to live their lives free, right? And free of the kinds of things that are going on right now.
Great. Well, if there's nothing else to share, then we will adjourn tonight's meeting. So thank you all very much for being here, and tonight's meeting is adjourned.